One of my favorite animes, probably top 5, is Cowboy Bebop, the space western full of fascinating characters that each offer their own personality to the show. Spike, who is stoic, Jet, who is prudent, Faye, who's seductive, Edward, who's quirky, and Ein, who's a well above average intelligent dog. All together making a classic anime full of action, comedy, charisma, and philosophy that when I watched it this day, I realized how much replay value this show truly has. A show that, in my opinion, you can't truly appreciate until you have some life experience under your belt. Learning something new with each watch because it contains so much wisdom, which is why it sustains itself as a classic to this day, with an ending that kinda leaves you wanting more, but not as far as episodes, but just because through watching it, you feel as a viewer that you're part of the Bebop crew as well, wanting to take on another bounty or mission. But regardless, it delivers a solid 26 episodes, an anime that doesn't want to get ahead of itself, which is why I praise the creator, Watanabe, for not cash grabbing, trying to milk this show for another season no matter how much in demand it is. In a recent article, Watanabe understands the impact of Cowboy Bebop, but for him to revisit it would require genuine passion, and that anything outside of that would chip away at its integrity. He states that great storytelling cannot be manufactured on demand, with a quote, "I had to feel like I want to do it." That revisiting the story without an idea or a creative reason would cheapen the original story's impact, and I couldn't agree more. I think it takes a lot of discipline for a creator to not become prisoner to the popularity of their own works, to feel like they have to treat what they love like an assembly line of product and little by little deteriorating the quality of it. I think it signifies that things can actually just end sometimes, and if anything heightens and preserves the quality of it for years to come. I mean, how many times have we seen so many stories start out amazing, then eventually gets dragged out past its expiration date and ruins its own legacy? It says that he values quality over quantity. The lasting appeal of Cowboy Bebop, which lies in its carefully written and animated story, is something he's not willing to risk for the sake of commercial gain. It's a series that takes its time to flesh out its characters with multiple backstories that leaves us emotionally attached to all of them, with an ending that ends perfectly with a classic Spike carefree smile, alluding to his death on some church steps but not confirmed. It's a classic ending that some of us even speculate was paid homage to by John Wick's death in the 4th movie, ending in the same way. Maybe that was Keanu Reeves' way of fulfilling so many fans' desires that in his prime he would have made a perfect Spike Spiegel, and this alone gave us a glimpse of what could have been. I think Watanabe understands that not everything about a story needs to be confirmed. Like towards the end, does Faye fall in love with Spike? Does the Bebop crew just continue with Faye and Jet? Does Edward and Ein fulfill their own journey together? Does Spike even truly die at the end? Questions that make us want to rewatch the show over and over, actually boosting the value of the show on its own. And that making a sequel to put these theories to rest would only ruin it. One quick example outside of this it reminds me of is Blade Runner. One theory that people have is that Deckard himself is a replicant, something that fans speculate because how could he live for years in a toxic-filled environment without dying? But it's something that's never explained why or confirmed by the director or writer, but leads to cool fan theories that fuels people's interest even more. Sometimes as the creator, you need to know when to keep certain questions open-ended and not rush to answer them, no matter the pressure you may face or how many money-hungry people would like to push him to create something dull just out of its own popularity. An example of this can be found in the live-action version of it. People who just sought to take advantage of the popularity of Cowboy Bebop and just thought it would be easily accepted by the fans, thinking they could just get away with butchering the characters, having them be unrecognizable to the anime at all. Vicious, who was a well-tempered villain, turned out to be a sulky man baby. Faye, who uses her seduction to her advantage through revealing clothing, now covered up because the people in charge said it wouldn't be realistic. But anyone with half a brain could easily read between the lines and call bullshit. And when the fans call it out, as in typical modern day fashion, the actress makes a video scolding the fans for dare criticizing the lack of standards to be met when adapting something as beloved as Cowboy Bebop, showing a lack of respect for those who made it popular, which awards you to have a job in the first place. Having her depicted in a relationship that fits modern day political quotas when it comes to entertainment, no matter how inaccurate it is to the source material. Also, that a live action Edward just comes off cringe and disturbing to watch versus funny to watch through pure animation. With Watanabe saying himself, he couldn't get through more than one scene of this atrocity they made from his genius work. He stated, "It was clearly not Cowboy Bebop, and I realized at that point that if I wasn't involved, it would not be Cowboy Bebop. I felt that maybe I should have done this, although the value of the original anime is somehow far higher now." And this is what happens when you don't have the appreciation for the creative process as Watanabe does. And when you just treat art like it's a product to be mishandled, used, abused for own selfish desires, and from this typical crowd of leeches, Watanabe stands apart gracefully. Another thing I applaud Watanabe and really Japanese creators entirely is that instead of recycling something from the past, he creates something new and original, such as Lazarus, a new anime to drop in 2025. Something I am so sick and tired of in the West is the constant remakes and reboots, recycling existing properties that's been around for more than half a century with nothing new to be made. And in doing so, none of it is even better than the original. Just cheap knockoffs mishandled by the same leeches as I mentioned before. I mean, I love Batman and Superman, but how many iterations are we going to get from the characters and stories we've seen play out time after time? Instead, just trying to modernize it, saying audiences don't desire new characters and stories, so they must keep creating different versions of the same character. When Japan disproves this damn near every season, creating new characters, stories, and worlds like there's no tomorrow, putting a spotlight on the Western creative market and how much it's lacking. And Lazarus sounds interesting. The series imagines a utopia brought about the invention of a revolutionary painkiller. Its creator, Dr. Skinner, disappears shortly after creating the drug, only to return 3 years later and reveals its fatal side effects. Facing extinction within 30 days, humanity must race against time to find a cure. At the center of the story is Axel, an acrobatic master criminal turned reluctant hero. Axel's journey promises to combine pulse-pounding parkour sequences with Watanabe's usual existential musings. It's going to be 13 episodes, and it's something I'm really looking forward to. Again, I can't stress enough how I applaud new creative ideas instead of relying on decades-old content. It keeps the entertainment market refreshing instead of stale, and that's something I truly respect from Watanabe, a true creative at heart. But that's all I have for this video. I hope you're excited for Lazarus as I am, and if you haven't watched Cowboy Bebop, please give it a watch. If you haven't already, check out my music on Spotify, link in the description. If you enjoy those Samurai Champloo lo-fi mellow boom bap vibes, then my music is definitely for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Free think. Peace.